we are live on the YouTube, but I think the Reddit is giving me a little bit of trouble. So I'm going to start this one over. Thankfully, I did actually save the title this time, so I don't have to type everything over again. Man, I feel tired for some reason. And I was just saying to Christian as well, he came home, told him I feel kind of sleep deprived. But I think live on Reddit now as well, so I can say indeed. And greetings unto you, beloved and holy friends. Thank you so much for joining me here again today. Another video, another live stream, another moment that we get to see the world together. You know, today's topic, today's intention, the feeling that I want to bring is being seen. You know, feeling seen, what it means to be seen, what it means to feel seen in this world, how to see one another, you know, how opening spaces like this is technically a way for us to see one another. Maybe not in the physical way, maybe not in the way that we would always like to be seen, but in a way that we can basically make ourselves known. You know, and through making ourselves known, we basically open this doorway to be loved, to be showered with, you know, appreciation. And I feel, you know, just as this is a little bit of hippie mumbo jumbo, this thing we're saying really resonates. Any perception is true as long as you choose to believe it. Any perception. You're a victim if you're losing in this life, if you're experiencing everything as a negative, and that's how you perceive it to be. And if you believe that perception, then it will be true. Dropping pebbles into the field of our awareness, you only experience what you have chosen to create. And we have chosen to create a space in which we come together. You know, we've chosen to co-create, we've chosen to co-communicate in ways that we've never done before. And there is so much speculation happening about it right now. You know, there's so much uncertainty happening. There is this sense of dis-ease. I think it's confusion, you know, it's just a level of confusion that we're kind of stepping into. I see you, Toasty, my friend. I see you, friends. Like, if you send a comment, you're technically co-creating. We see each other. And again, it might not be in the bodily level, you know, I'm not actually looking at you in the same way you're looking at me, but I know about you. Even if it's just a username, there is this knowledge of another being on the other side. Because each and every single one of us are a divine individualized expression. You know, our thoughts, our memories, our wants, our dreams, our intentions, the things we think about, the things we see in this world, the way we experience life, the way we share this life with other beings, each and every single one of us brings into this infinity a larger set of infinity. And it's hard to really fathom, it's hard to conceive of the fact that there are an infinite amount of infinities. You know, you can meet another person and this person has so much depth to them. You know, there was this, I'm not exactly sure who said it, some wise person, if you will, you know, that says if you, was it Ram Dass? I think it might have been Ram Dass actually. If you look at a forest scape, and maybe you're in the middle of the forest, and you kind of look out on the trees, and you see some trees are kind of like crooked growing, some trees are a little bit sparse, some trees have roots almost like climbing out of the soil. And we understand somehow intuitively, like, oh, you know, this little tree didn't get enough sunlight, so it had to wiggle itself a little bit to the left to get more sunlight. Oh, and then there might be like a rock bed underneath that tree, so the roots, as a result of that, started to protrude from the soil. And we can see beauty, you know, in these things, you know, potentially very mundane things, potentially things that don't necessarily bother us, but we look at these things with a sense of awe and beauty, and we understand why they are the way that they are. But we don't have that same approach to human beings. You know, we don't look at each other, we don't see each other as trees. You know, like, never mind the fact that because of our different upbringing, because of where we found ourselves in life, because of the things we experienced, we grew in ways that, according to the world, might not be seen as something that's attractive, or might not be seen as something that is desirable. But it's not like you were doing that on purpose. It's because of your circumstances that you just happened to develop that way. You had to adapt to survive that circumstance. And the fact that we have judgment towards others for just surviving in their own way and not looking at them with the same sense of awe that we can look at trees with, you know. And you know that the weird thing is, interestingly enough, and I've been thinking about this so much, you know, at home there's this tree that for some reason the cows absolutely loved it. But they loved it to the point where they would like scratch their heads against it. So this small, like, initially first little sapling growing tree had like a literal big ass cow like step on it, rub its head against it, broke it off. And this happened over and over and over again. And now at this point, the tree has actually grown up. And as a result of all of this turmoil, all of the pain, all of the amount of influence that these cows had on this tree, it has multiple branches, you know, coming out right now. And it's gorgeous. And I'm thinking about that from this analogy of, like, this tree analogy of life, of people. How as a result of a potential cow, you know, let's say there's a potential cow in your life, you know, whatever it may be. Maybe it's financial problems, maybe it's problems at work, you know, with a significant other or a family member or a colleague. These things hurt us and kind of put us in uncomfortable positions. And then as a result of these uncomfortable positions, as a result of all of these pains we experience, we grow in ways that can be seen as beautiful. Again, this fractal pattern. If you are basically fundamentally this force of nature being blasted into the world and you're going straight, technically you would continue going straight indefinitely. But as a result of the novelty, as a result of the obstacles that we find, you know, in this life, we kind of branch out and we find different ways to do things instead of just going the same way, the straight way, all the way, if that makes sense. And you can see it with trees as well. Trees do the exact same thing. Look at people like they're trees. See people in the same light that you would look at a tree. You know, no judgments, no expectations. Just look at them for what they are. See them for what they are. It's difficult sometimes, but it is a beautiful way to think about it. Toasty, I'm happy you appreciate it, my friend. So much love to you, you beautiful tree, you. And we have the dwarf. Thank you for joining us again, my friend. How long has it been? So long. How did your personal brand project go? Still at it. Not really a personal brand project at all, my friend. Like more space in which to co-create, space in which to share ideas, space in which to feel things that we've maybe been neglecting. How about you, friend? How have you been? Have you thought about studying psychology, or are you going to be a guru? I have thought about studying psychology, interestingly enough. I just do not have the means to afford to do so right now, but I really would like to. I feel like there's a lot for me to learn in the field of psychology, and I think if I do, it's going to clear up a lot of the things that I understand right now as well. Maybe if I do, I can help people in that way as well. Maybe. How about you, Dwarf? It's nice to have you here. Melita, greetings unto you, beloved friend. Thank you for joining us. Sup to you, you troll. It's nice to have you here. Can you discuss the spiritual aspects of a bowel movement? Not kidding. Uh, okay. I've never had a question like that. But in thinking about it, let me think about it a little bit. And what the intention behind that would be as well. Maybe renewal. Or to renew. You know, if anything, maybe there's a spiritual aspect to that. You know, food in itself is something that's a little bit elusive. I've had so much cognitive dissonance thinking about how, you know, I want to go plant-based, because I feel like it would lessen suffering in some sort of way. And then it also kind of goes hand in hand with this sense of separation that I have to maintain in order to like satisfy or justify the eating of meat. And I'm okay with like creating that sense of separation because of my understanding of unity. You know, like if it's all the universe eating itself, you know, then technically if I ate only plant material, then it would be the universe eating itself versus eating only animals, still the universe eating itself fundamentally. So in that way, you know, I feel if anything, there is no real spiritual aspect to a bowel movement, not fundamentally at least, because I think being a human being is fundamentally one of those things where we kind of lesser ourselves, where the spiritual being is something that transcends the body. The body is maybe just like a temporary filter or a medium to experience this through, but fundamentally you are a spiritual being. And I feel like as a spiritual being, you're not necessarily satiated or nourished by anything other than yourself. But the weird thing about that is, again, with this everything is the universe analogy, is that you're already doing that. You know, you're already doing that. The next step of it would just be to eat pure energy, I guess. Pure energy that you can also create yourself. Yeah. And then in that pure energy analogy, technically, what could be considered as a bowel movement would just be the retransformation of energy as well. And technically, that's what happens. You know, fundamentally, with things having bowel movements, is they eat something, they break it down in certain ways, and then it gets given back to the rest of nature. And then as a result of that, something else, you know, be it another insect, be it a plant, can kind of use that discreted material and still get value or resources out of it. And if it wasn't for that thing eating whatever it is it ate, moving towards or to the place where it was in order to take the bowel movement, then that nutrient wouldn't have been there if it wasn't for that whole process. So maybe there's a little bit of a spiritual aspect in that level. How it can be the transference slash spreading of nutrients. And if you think about like salmon, for example, you know, swimming upstream, they literally take themselves inland and then they die. And as a result of the amount of bears and stuff that carry them out on the shores, there's so many flies that actually end up eating those dead fish carcasses. You know, as a result of all of the flies that gets born, they kind of fly into the jungle. Multiple other creatures end up eating them. Or they just die and fall to the ground, and then they become nutrients to the soil as well. So on a legitimate level, the river kind of flows through this land, then fish come into that land, and then that fish in a way extrapolates nutrients out into the rest of the forest. Like it's all interconnected, you know, and creating a sense of guilt, sense of judgment within yourself because of the things you eat. Like I feel if anything, like we're not completely doing it the right way. Maybe in some ways, you know, maybe that's just the hippie in me that wants to, in some like some proper way, like get it into a nature setting more. Where right now we have basically massive treatment plants, but it's difficult because this is just an interpretation of it. If anything, it's also something weirdly enough that we're shameful of. You know, and it's also something that we've developed recently, the shame thereof. You know, like human beings used to have communal toilets. And I'm not saying let's go back. No. But I do think that it is this, again, this separation from our humanness. We are so fascinated slash obsessed with our egoic understanding of reality that we will continually recreate this egoic understanding of reality in our social settings. to the point where we pretend that certain things don't happen. And because of this pretending, we think of certain things as unvaluable, unspiritual. Like I found myself thinking that. And the more I kind of dig deeper, because of your question, arguably a weird question, arguably a question that most people would skip over, there is a spiritual insight to be found. So I thank you, Fudge. I thank you, genuinely, friend. Thank you. So, greetings. We have Nate joining us as well. You've been missed, my friend. Thank you for joining us. Sending so much love and light to you as well. How have you been? How have you been? How's the marriage going? Like, I know you're still, I want to say new to this, but I feel like that sounds patronizing. I'm just asking how you are, my friend. I hope you're well. Hey, Candace. Thank you for joining us as well, my friend. Sending you love. How are you doing? How are the girls? How's Steady? We've been mentioning Teddy just in like random chats, me and my friends. Some of the stuff he said still has been resonating. We're missing you as well, Candace. I hope you're doing well. Jumper. Good old Nate. The food we consume is consuming us as well. There you go. Like Melita kind of shortened my 15-minute rant into like one sentence. Oh, Asia Bud is here as well, my beloved friend. Thank you for joining us. As is Dan. Dan, what? Yeah, she is. Yo, oh, Jovan, Christian is saying hello. I was like watching your stream this morning, and he was kind of like half tuning into it as well. I showed him some of your other works. He for some reason didn't understand the whole bird watching analogy. I'm like, birds are cool, dude. Birds be cool. Doing great, happy babies with a ton of Halloween candy to get rid of. Goodness. That sounds amazing, Candace. I hope they have an absolutely amazing time. I'm guessing it was just propaganda, the whole check your kids as candy. There's so many memes of that shit. It's like, oh, people are putting edibles in the kids' baskets. Like, bitch, I'm not giving my edibles to kids. Oh, thank you, Prince, for joining me. Genuinely. Sugar High and alien movies. Oh, goodness. Like, I remember the Sugar High of children that were just like losing their minds, dopamine loaded. Wipes of sleep from eyes. Sup, nerd. Being tuned into stream melt. Pooping is actually a very spiritual, friends. I mean, Dad, you never know what you're gonna get, dude. That's the one thing that I love about these streams. Is like I come in with the intention of talking about being seen, and then someone asks me a question that completely derails me, bro. And I'm like, oh well, guess the universe wants to take this road, and I'm not one to not oblige. Oh, I did forget an ashtray. Christian! Don't you want to come and say a hi? And when you come and say a hi, bring an ashtray with you? He's just like, oh wow. Don't be too hurt, dude. I would come and do it myself, but I want you to go and say hi to our friends.
Eat my ass.
Not right now, Chris.
So peeps, love and peace.
He's writing a bit. Are you fordering?
I'm making very slow progress.
At least a sentence has been written since.
Yeah, a couple.
He's been reading for me like as he's been writing as well. Like a recent piece of his book is basically this scene where they're all sitting around a fire and this vampire rocks up to the fire next to them. And then Christian goes into this monologue. Like what? Was it like a paragraph of you describing his outfit? Yeah, just like in detail, in like crisp detail, every like bit of this dude's outfit. And I'm just like, bruh, why don't you just go ahead and just start designing clothes, dude? Just like a random ass side character has this sick fit. It's so fucking cool. I love his writing as well. Yeah. I just bumped into you and I'm staying. Hey, Naren, thank you. Thank you for joining us. We'd love to have you. Every second of your time is so worthy, and we appreciate you for sharing it with us. I made paintings of a pickle and a cat. I'm putting them up in the coffee shop and leaving a book for people to come up with the back of the duo. Pickle Rick and Harry Larry. Candace, you killed me. Thank you for joining us. I'm sending you friends on the Reddit side love from Candace as well. I'm sure she would want me to. And Jovan, I'm sending your love as well. And Dan, Toasty, so much love is coming your way, Candace. Oh, off from work today and I'm applying for jobs. I'm getting totally shafted by this company, straight up lied to me. Dude, I wish there was, like some sort of action we could take in like situations like that as well. Like if a company lies to you, you should be able to keep them, responsible for that. Because if you lie to a company, for instance, about your records or about your work history or stuff like that, they can potentially have you arrested. So it should be the other way around as well. No lying. Renew. We're smoking the Renew joint. As of late, I have not smoked like basically been like almost a week and a half. I've not smoked a single joint of just pure green. I'm mixing my joints with a smokable herb called mullein. I'm probably saying that incorrectly, but it's like Mullein. It's very light. It's almost sweet tasting, sweet sour tasting, and apparently it has lung health benefits. Like people smoke it if they have severe cough fits or stuff like that. People smoke it after they've smoked a lot of joints as well to kind of ease their lungs. So now I'm mixing the two. It makes the weed significantly lighter, so I don't absolutely get destroyed by a single puff. And it's so nice. It's so nice. Someone's got a crush, Jake. Hey, Melt. I don't have time to stay today, doctor's appointment, but I wanted to say hi, Cookie Monster. Thank you for sharing even a second of your time. I hope the doctor appointment goes well. Vincent, hey there, Melt, he says. Toasty. Jovan, how's it going? Been a while, Candace. You're being sent love from Vincent's away as well. Thank you so much, Vincent. Yeah, Christian Sobin. I know, right? I managed. The people are saying hi, Christian. Melita and Jovan and Jort and Vincent and Dan. Everybody is saying hello. He's sending love and light right back to you, friends. Hi, Christian. It's been a little low-key stressed about not rolling my R right when I said his name, Christian. It's difficult, but it's okay, Shava. Yeah, Vincent and Cookie. Adorable friendship. I love him so much. He just wants an ashtray. Christian, don't fall for it. He fell for it, Vincent. Yes. Oh, he has vampires in his book. Cool. Or did I misheard? There's vampires, there's werewolves, there's humans, there's insectoids. Reptilians as well. Mer people as well. Like he's basically building an entire like fictional universe in which he can continue writing more books if he chooses to. So instead of going on a thing that's already been done, he's starting from scratch, like new creatures, new type of plant life, new environments, new building styles. I mean, those cactuses, for example, those are something pretty unique, right? Yeah, it's still a cactus, but I mean, it's not. We're not expecting you to fucking write a new language as well for your book. He's doing good shit, like Bereave. Like when the book is available, I'll share that with your friends as well. In America, workers have no protections. Employers have all the power. To be honest, I've been considering making a move to Europe. Oh, please, dude, get to the Netherlands. I'll meet you there. At least then I'll have free education and healthcare to fall back on when an employer inevitably screws me. Yeah, with the whole fucking like antidepressant thing as well, dude. Like, oh, you move jobs, don't have insurance, get fucked. Insulin, for example. The fact that you basically have to buy, I think something like $300 up to $500 worth of insulin a week to survive. Excuse me? How do we, what the fuck? And it doesn't cost them that much to produce it either. Technically, insulin was made free. Like the patent for insulin was made free to the whole world so that this doesn't have to be a thing. It's weird. So If we're smoking for renewal, we're drinking water for, I want to say curing. Almost like, if you renew something, you have to like wait for it to cure. But maybe setting, maybe permanence, maybe growth. Renewal and growth. Yeah, I think that's the right one. What is it called? The stuff you mix. It's called mullein. Mullein. Mullein or something like that. And it's very light. Like if you smoke it by itself, it's like almost unfeelable. Very, very nice. And then if you mix it with weed, it obviously makes your weed last longer, but that's not necessarily a problem. But it also makes it less strong. So it's not like every single time you smoke a joint. To give you an example, I took one bud, I broke it up, made a whole joint with it, and I still have that much left. And this joint's already kicking my ass, just like it is. It's that funky monkey. I think you might be onto something, Toasty. Like 28%. I just didn't know. Million. Thank you so much, Melida. Oh, he has vampires in the book he's writing, or did I misheard? No, you heard right, Vincent. Thank you, never mind, heard of it. Thank you for joining us as well, Top Ginger. I've heard it from Estienne for the first time yesterday as well. Sounds interesting. I'll try to get it. Please do, Melida. Please, please do. It's very nice. It's something I really appreciate as well. I feel, especially after the break I took, I'm having a hard time smoking joints the way I used to. Like I'm, kind of devastated by them. Like that's how they've been making me feel. And if I mix them with something, it kind of has a little bit more of an ease to it. Yeah, tell me that Vinland Saga Season 2 is coming up. You should be hyped for it. Vinland Saga Season 2 is coming up, Christian. He's hyped. He literally started screaming. I have a real problem I'm facing right now with the job. I've become resentful of my job and it's eating at me. I went to the office twice this week and I found myself just hating the slow walker in front of me on the way home. I said to myself, what is wrong with me? I'm not this hateful person. And it hit me like a ton of bricks. I don't hate the slow walking man in front of me. I hate my circumstances. I hate my life like this and I need to let go of that feeling while I find a new gig. Whew, damn, that is some insight, man. Man, you inspire me. Thank you, dude. It's difficult. It's very difficult to still be a loving person and a happy person when you feel like that, like you hate your circumstances and you feel like this is not the way it's supposed to be. And I feel on a global and a societal level, a lot of us are feeling that way. And if a lot of us are feeling that way, how can we expect things to get better in any way? Like things need to change, dude. Employment policy needs to change. Like I feel for the last 50, 60, 70 years, we've basically had this idea ingrained in us that we should be grateful to have a job. Oh, we should be so grateful to have a job. Now we need to build the understanding that employers need to be grateful to have people to work for them, or have people that are willing to give their life essence to their company. That should be the real understanding of it. Understanding that, again, each and every single one of us are these divine individuals, and taking advantage of that is something that's going to always, hurt everyone involved. Man, Vincent says, yeah, tell him to go full on Tolkien, creating your own language. Absolutely high level fantasy though. You have to do it now, Christian. Your own language. He's already doing it technically, right? The werewolves technically have their own language, but you don't speak that much of it. No. So technically he is doing it, just a little bit. So it helps with lung irritation. Yeah, I'm guessing that you just went and did some research on that. That can help for lung irritation. It can also like subdue your coughing. If you've been coughing excessively, with something like TB or bronchitis, smoking something like this apparently helps. It calms you down, that coughing response at least. Good morning, Red Clicker. Thank you so much for joining us, my friend. Nice to have you here. By the way, are you smoking the million flower or leaves or a mix of it? Flowers and leaves and even a little bit of the stems, interestingly enough. So it's like almost a full plant mix, Melida. I would like to have just the flowers because apparently the flowers are the real good stuff for the lungs, if you will, but I think I'll only get the flowers when I start growing my own plants. Frankie, thank you for joining us, my friend. It's nice to have you here. How are you doing? I don't think I've ever heard you say that much. I always see you though. Are you Larry David? I don't know who Larry David is, unfortunately. I'm guessing that might be like a reference, maybe with the way that he was speaking. But that is Dan, our friend Dan. He is the man. I'm not gonna go further. I'm just gonna embarrass myself and Dan to say, I think I'll be able to get only flowers for now. Okay, that's even better. That's actually even better, Melida. The flowers are where the good stuff is, if you will. The main leaves are these big fluffy things, almost as well. Very nice, especially in a smoking mix. I wonder if I'll be able to show you a piece. Man, this is gonna be difficult. How am I supposed to do this? Trying to get a piece that's gonna be like noticeable on camera. And just yeet it away. Bruh. I'll be back. I'll go get the jar. The jar has bigger pieces in it.
Done.
Yeah.
Cool, that was fast.
Well, we've done me, bro. Still a little bit busy. Gonna get right back into. So this is basically what the leaves look like. It's very much a fluffy kind of thing. And then it breaks up very nice and it makes almost these little sponges, weirdly enough. I wonder if I can find a piece of flower. The flowers are these beautiful little red ones. But then you also have big ass sticky stems like this that aren't that flexible or easily smokable. So if you can get just flowers, I think that'll be even better, genuinely. We have slag. Did I miss her comment? Goodness. Oh no, I'm just far behind. Felt similar. I felt similar before I quit my job a year ago. I have never been this broke, but following my passion has been liberating. I'm feeling the exact same way, Naren. That's literally where I am right now as well. I've never been this broke, but I'm also happier than I've ever been because I'm actually doing what I believe in. I'm no longer just perpetuating something that I feel is killing my soul. I'm actually following what my soul tells me to, and I'm so happy you get to experience that as well, Naren. This is the way. Larry David co-created Seinfeld and now has his own Curb Your... Oh, I show Curb Your Enthusiasm. Okay, thank you, George. I appreciate you for educating me. Slag says, hey, Melty, I had a rough week, but I'm coming through on the other end. It's rainy here. I'm staying in bed all day and sleeping. I'm just imagining like rain falling outside, your blanket being extra cozy, you listening in and joining us in a space that's loving, caring, calm. Thank you for joining us, Slag. I hope your rough week comes to an end right here, right now, and that it only gets better. If you are willing, if you want to share, we'd be more than willing to listen. That's brave of you. Best of luck. I'm just looking for an employer that is able to offer me a decent lifestyle. Harder to find than one would think. Yeah, dude. That's the thing. It's not like we're expecting the world. We're not expecting to be paying $1 million salaries. We're just expecting to be paid enough to actually have a lifestyle, be able to actually save some money, see the possibility of retirement as a possibility, not just like, oh, I probably won't be able to retire, work until I'm dead. Mm-mm. Like, it's not right. And it's been continuing for so long. And people have been allowing it. That's what baffles me really, is how we're just kind of lax. We're like, oh yeah, this is how things are. Keep doing it then. Keep doing it that way. I love hearing this. What is your passion, if you don't mind me asking? We'd be more than willing to hear, actually. Please do share with us, Naren. Tolkien was an absolute genius. He had been creating Elven language way back, few decades before his book even came out, though even he couldn't complete it. Creating an entire language alone is a little bit of a feat, if you will. I think part of the language creation process is being able to share it with another person in the first place. So doing it alone must have been difficult. Gala, he's pretty good. Thank you for joining us, Gala. It's so nice to have you here again. I hope you've been well. Larry David is worth 500 million. That's a big number. Dan, sorry, bad joke, I guess. I have my Larry David moments too. So are you, dear. Yes, even more so, Slag. You are worth much more. More like minus 500 mil. Thanks, love. I mean, there cannot be put a dollar value on the value of you. Fundamentally, you are something so much larger. So let's talk about imagination, for example. Imagine the earth, little ball in your field of imagination. Imagine looking at this earth from this perspective of being far away from it. And now imagine moving further and further away. Imagine seeing our small little planet next to our big sun. Jupiter, absolutely massive in comparison to our planet. And then you can keep zooming out on that. That imagination proves to me a vastness of soul that is inconceivably more valuable than any dollar value could ever be. This dollar value is what we now have assigned to people in a societal level of what they are worth. But on a fundamental level, your spirit is something that is beyond worth. It's something that is worth so much that it encapsulates this entire conceivable universe with all of the gold in it. For example, if you value gold as a resource as well, all of this gold in the entire universe, you're worth more than that as well. Just realize that you are an infinite experiencer right now. Sometimes the experiences might be lackluster, sometimes they're absolutely unfathomably beautiful, devastatingly beautiful. And it's the back and forth that makes them. We get to see the contrast instead of it just being one continuous flow or one continuous fall. It's a back and forth of that. Reminds me of the mountain tea. It's also kind of fluffy, and the plants are growing in a similar way. It might be like the million plant is a pretty simple plant, actually. And the cool thing about these plants is that they grow where human beings kind of disturb soil. So if we have any agricultural practices or things like that, that's ideal soil for those plants to start growing in. So it's like they follow humans around. These things that happen to have these medicinal benefits to human beings just happen to follow us around. Same thing with marijuana, for example. I dare you to get out of bed and jump in the rain puddles, Slag. That sounds amazing. Double dog dare. Jordan, double dog dare. You have to go and do it now, Slag. Rainy days are best for sleeping in. They really are. Just so soothing. It's filmmaking, says Naren. Video editing is my core, but any form of visual storytelling gets me like nothing else does. That sounds amazing, Naren. Do you have something you're willing to share with us? If you would like to share some of your work, we would love to support you and see it with you. We have the Discord if you want to do that. I want enough money to cook for myself, have a half-decent apartment, enjoy a social life on the weekends, and save for a house. I don't think that is much to ask for. It's not, Dan. And the fact that our, previous, I don't know if I should say our previous civilizations, our immediate ancestors, let's call them at least that, had a significantly easier time at doing that. The amount of people that was able to afford a house in those times, in comparison to where we are right now, with inflation, property prices increasing on top of it, and then the average salary not increasing even close to at the same pace, it basically creates a society in which people are expected to use credit systems even more. And on a fundamental level, these credit systems are a way to imprison us. Because if you have, a significant amount of debt and you don't pay that debt back, then it suddenly ruins your credibility score, which is bad for you in the long term. But at the same time, this debt that you have grows in debt. Like it becomes more and more if you don't do something about it. So you're basically fundamentally expected then to work X amount of your life away to pay this debt back. And if you don't work X amount of life away, you'll have to spend more X amount of life in the future to try and get away from it. And it's fundamentally evil. They're selling us money in exchange for our life. It's like for this reason that I thoroughly understand the hobo mindset. I genuinely do. It's this complete escape from that reality. It's like a denial of it. And that's why I think for a lot of them it is a choice. It's like sometimes a choice I feel like I have to make as well. Maybe don't have to go complete hobo, but living in a van, I mean, it depends on what you consider a homeless person. A van wouldn't be considered a home by most, but we live in a system that is not made for humans. Or maybe a system that is made for humans, but it's not made for spiritual beings. Like I'm sipping for growth. And the question that came to my mind when I took that sip was like, do I have to grow into this like reality? Do I have to grow up and like, just do it, if you will? Or do I have to grow the environment to be more accepting of spiritual beings, to be more accompanying, more suitable, maybe that's the right word, to spiritual beings? Because the way it's set up right now is hurting us. And I see it everywhere, like it's kind of brutal. Nate says, I have been feeling very spiritually disconnected for a while now, as part of my absence from the streams. Nate, even like better, to be here when you feel like that. I feel like that sometimes as well. You've seen me feel like that. And it's not something that I feel I'll ever be rid of. I think that also comes in waves. And you being here is just a proof again, that you believe in this thing that we believe in. We believe in what we're capable of. We believe in what humanity is capable of. We believe that there is something better for us. And then because we believe this, we can sometimes feel disconnected from that. And that creates that spiritual disconnection that you feel sometimes. This understanding of what we want for the rest of the world, for ourselves, for our families, and what we're capable of doing right now. And it can be discouraging, very much so, Nate. But we're showing up. We keep showing up, Nate. I love you, my friend. Know that you're so, 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 so cared for. We can do this together. Tolkien was aware of some good old ancient knowledge. Not all of his stuff is made up. Oh, I didn't know that actually, Melita. Thank you. Love this. If you film, you get to mix music and storytelling, which makes a visceral effect with me. It really can. I've seen such amazing short videos, just that tells and conveys this visceral experience. And it can really be a trip almost, in a single video form. No worries, I live in New York City, and being around so many other people can test your patience. That's something I can handle, but it's difficult when other stressors are in play. Thank you for handling it nonetheless, Dan, for still being the expression of love regardless. Also, it sounds like a lot of folks here would enjoy r slash anti work. Yeah, I'm already sub to r slash anti work, dude. Like, man, and it's not like we do not want to work. We want to see social change when it comes to worker employment, rights, especially just with the way that we treat people and the way that they are expected to work their lives away. Like, this what's happening right now. And if you're sub to anti-work, this as well. Like, companies are basically firing more people than ever, or more people than ever are quitting, and then they're expecting the employees they have left to take over for them and kind of make up, the slack, if you will. Having less people to pay, pretending to have a worker shortage, and still getting the same amount of work done. So their profit margins has increased significantly. And they're still refusing to pay people proper salaries. It's unfortunate. It really is unfortunate. Love you, Gala, so much. Wolf Sand says, are you the guy who gets up in the mornings and does the yoga exercises and dancing in the sun? If so, thanks, because I always enjoy watching those videos. And if not, also thanks for being a good guy. I haven't done yoga exercises, but I have danced in the sun, in the morning sun. I just haven't in a while. Maybe if I get back, to the farm, I'll be so excited to be back that I'll start dancing in the mornings again. Wolf Sand, thank you for joining us. Dan, I would be sure if I could stay sane living in the city as dense as New York City. Though the place I live doesn't have much space, but my routine hardly requires me to go out. I feel that, Vincent. Like, you live in India, right? So you're also in a place where things can get very dense. If you go to the very dense places, right? Like, if you go to like a place where people frequent, you're going to have some space issues as well. No matter where you go, especially if you're going to places where people want to go, there's always going to be space issues. Well, so do I. Right about now, I'm creating a documentary of a music band that went busking in the rural areas of India, giving it back to our roots. That sounds amazing, Naren. Man, what band is it, if you'd be willing to share? Sounds amazing. I hope to see it. From the US, schools being tied to neighbors did a lot to increase home prices. People are essentially bidding on their kids' education and not the house. Yeah. And then it creates these classist kind of understandings of different school systems as well. And then if you just happen to be in a neighborhood that is bad, you basically have even more discrimination against you, creating even more likelihood for continued poverty, dude. And it's weird, dude. Frankie, it's so weird. Already on that, so yup. I can relate with those who have a passion for more than verbal communication. Would love to see your work. Feel free to share on the Discord. Thank you so much, Yvonne. I appreciate you. I think about this all the time. For instance, Middle Earth and the theories about Antarctica, or a spiritual war continuously going on around us, but we don't visually see it. But what if I told you you can, George? Oh God, I'll just say that. It's not necessarily a battle, as it is a tension of separation. It's like, imagine a magnet keeping itself away from the other pole, because it wants to experience that in that way. It's so aware of its draw towards the other magnet, and it understands fundamentally that other magnet is always there, and finally there's eventually going to be the reconnection of it, but it is in a way this choice, to be separate. So it's not necessarily a war, even though it can be seen as one, like it's a tugging war, right? But it's a choice. So it's not necessarily just a war. Am I making sense, George? I don't think so. But I'm trying to. I'm trying to. It's all a choice. We're here by choice. And we have a choice to make things better. And I hope that more and more of us actually do that. It's definitely not for everyone. No, it's definitely not. Like when I lived in Shanghai, I was having a hard time with it as well. The change outside won't happen globally until the change inside doesn't happen. It's the whole you've made the choice, someone else has to make the choice now. Can't force each other. We just have to live by example and wait for one another. Did you have trouble getting used to it, Dan, or did you grow up around there? I grew up in the suburbs of Philly, and I wanted to get out. It's always been my feeling that the white, affluent suburbs are inauthentic. The city may be dirty and filled with folks who may appear rough around the edges, but it's fucking real people. Yeah, man, that's a very good point, actually. Just this fundamental understanding that if you come from like a clean slash posh slash uppity environment where people are fundamentally continuously trying to create this false image of themselves and, in your words, this inauthentic representation of who they are, and then go into a place where, in your words, it might be dirty and filled with folks who appear rough around the edges, but they're real people. They're people that you can actually, have a conversation with, and they're not going to sugarcoat stuff. They're not going to pretend to be something they're not. Whew. Beauty in something beyond just what you see with your eyes. Seeing someone without looking at them. Dan, that's literally what today's title is, bro. It really is that way. You can be as beautiful as you want to be on the outside. If you're fundamentally inauthentic, it's not going to be something that's attractive. And the question that's coming to my mind is being authentic something that's difficult? I feel it's something that's discouraged in our society, weirdly enough. Like we're expected to do things in the accepted way so that we can have friends, Like that's basically the gist of our upbringing, of what we're supposed to be doing. Conform or you won't have friends. Making that choice as a kid, being like, nah, no friends it was so weird. Because I felt victimized as well, and now I realize that I was just doing something for myself that I didn't even realize I was doing for myself. I'm curious, like this is something that kind of fucks with me a little bit. Was I more aware when I was younger and I just forgot about some of that awareness? And just because in the same way you forget about your dreams or like a certain aspect of a psychedelic experience, be it through breath work or however you want to put it, there's a certain lack of ability to remember an expanded awareness, or at least to recreate it perfectly. And I wonder if my younger self had, in a way, wisdom as well. Because I tend to look at myself in a very negative light, reflecting back on the mistakes I've made. Especially so in my teenage years, where I feel maybe I fell out of that awareness. Maybe that's where teenage depression comes from. Is falling in a way out of that childlike awareness of the world. Or, a way of seeing the world through a sense of beauty and mystery. And then when we become teenagers, we start to believe we know things. And then that believing of knowing things is basically egoic knowledge. And egoic knowledge is fundamentally a separation from that awareness. Man, it's difficult. Thanks for being receptive, Melt. I will join your Discord, follow you all for a while. before I understand which one of my videos would best suit your tastes. A short 2-minute video, I respect every second of yours too. We would love to see it, genuinely, Naren. Like, supporting one another in these type of things is the least we could do, and it's a way to share again, co-create, be in a way where we can feel together into something. We need to have indoor rave streams with Melt and Christian now. Bust out them laser lights. Did you hear that, Christian? We're gonna be dancing at some point, dude. Yeah, dude, the people want to see us dance, bro. They're gonna fucking rave with us. We need lasers, Christian. Get us lasers. You make sense. George, I love you. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate you listening with an open heart. Yup, tugging sounds right. Right? That, like, it's difficult to say these things as well, because it feels kind of elusive, vague, in a way where, like, none of the things I'm saying can be justified with certainty. And yet there's a feeling. There's very much a feeling into our natures of that. Yes, that's right, my friend. Tolkien was a psychologist, a philologist? Is that how you're supposed to say that? Philologist. That's interesting. And he had quite a bit of love for languages of Germanic and Finnish people. And those had lots of influences on his Elven languages. Very interesting. And it was a process of creating Elven language since he was in high school. Pretty cool, huh? People's fascination with things fascinate me. Like, how do you get fascinated with Germanic and Finnish people's languages and then start writing an Elven language when you're in high school? Like that, I'm trying to figure out the steps that get like involved into leading you into that. What happened in your childhood? How did you experience the world? And as a result of all of these small little nuances, Tolkien came out of it. Again, this growing of a tree, something that's beautiful. I've never felt the need to set up a Discord account until now. Thank you, guys. We love you, friend. Love is true. That's something that we literally come every single day back here to establish, that love is true. No matter what we feel, no matter how hard it kind of seems, underneath all of it, love is true. And sometimes we need to be reminded. Sometimes I get to remind you, and having that, back and forth is beautiful to me. Edmund, thank you for joining us. It's nice to have you here. Good morning to you, friend. While younger, more aware in a different way. I'd say some of that awareness fades, but can come back in a different version or layer as we develop our spirit. So I'm curious that you're saying that as well, because there is this, I think bias would be the right word to say, within me that, psychedelics kind of have a way of being a way to kind of potentially develop. It's not like a cure-all pill for development, but it is a way that you can develop. And in those states, sometimes you can feel a sense of childlike fascination with the world again, where it kind of brings you back to that awareness of things. And I'm curious about that. I'm curious if, as a child, we just had a lot more neurochemical release. Maybe that's something that happened, like because of our curiosity about things. And the ADHD nature of a child, we were super fascinated, super stimulated by a lot of different things at the same time. And maybe that stimulation, in a way, got tuned down as we became adults to kind of have a more balanced view of the reality that we're living in. And as a result of that down regulation of our hyper awareness of our realities, we lose a sense of awareness with that. Maybe it's not an actual thing that you lose, like it is not gone. It's just something you no longer have access to. And losing access to something in that way is kind of weird, because it's this it's this thing that you get to know, but if you don't know it, then you don't know that you don't know it until you know it again. And it's this loop of like, oh, take it away from you again, and then you don't know that you don't know until you know. And then we know, and then we're like, oh goodness, how did I forget? And then We don't know again. And it's this choop, 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 back and forth. And we can do it to ourselves. You know, that's the curious thing, is the fact that we have the ability to do it to ourselves, mediating our realities, literally. The time police, woo, woo, woo. Oh goodness. Please, sir, officer. I didn't do anything wrong, I promise. I've been drinking water, smoking joints. I have been spending time. He's like, young man, have you been spending time wisely? Yes, police officer. Police time officer, excuse me. I have been spending time wisely. I've been spending it with people that I love, officer. Thank you for joining us, friend. Jovan here. I just got that smart bulbs that are color changed. Ooh, about to make some Raven up. Is it one of those Philip Hughes? I think it might be. You have like an app for it, right? That sounds sick, Dan. That's pretty insightful, Dan. I hope I also find an understanding that I can come to terms with, since I'm also looking to get out of the place I'm living in. And jobs in the IT industry are the most thriving and crowded metro cities. Yep, that is very true. Like IT is booming right now. Luckily, I'm a software QA analyst, not quite IT, but within technology. You're using a computer nonetheless, yeah. Oh, hey. That's a while. It's nice to meet you, friend. Oh, so much love being shared. I'm new here. I heard you talking about your spiritual self. What religion do you believe in? I don't believe in any religion. Carmel. Thank you for joining us, though. I believe more in a spiritual pursuit, you know, where I kind of perceive a religion to be something that a bunch of people come together and say is true, where being spiritual is the pursuit of that which is true. So it's almost the same, you know. Like I think the pursuit and maybe the dedication too might be the same, but the one has a finalist understanding of it, like this is how it is, no questioning, no room for interpretation, where the spiritual pursuit is all that, you know, interpret, experience, question, find for yourself. And it's an active one, you know. It's one that I believe keeps me young. Not only keeps me, like, that's the thing, you know, like on a level it feels like you're super old pursuing something like that, and on a like bodily level, the fascination you kind of gain out of that topic makes you feel young, because it gives that sense of awe, you know, like, oh, what what why was I not told any of this, you know. And it's this constant growth process, and I feel a lot of religions robs the individual of that growth process. So thank you for joining us, Carmel. It's nice to have you here. We hope to see you grow as well. Hello, Vincent. It has been a while. I'm doing all right, just trying to flow with the universe. How are you, my friend? Psychedelics are a sneak peek preview. We can get there on our own. We definitely can, Melita. And as you're saying, it's like a sneak peek preview, like a cheat code. You know, burp, 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 burp. Press this cheat code, unlocks a sense, like a certain sense of reality for 6 hours, you know, and then the cheat code runs out. And it's interesting, you know, because they work consecutively and consistently, but they have a taper off period as well. So if you want to cheat over and over again, it doesn't allow you to. Or the cheat comes with some caveats. So you're kind of encouraged by the system that you can use these cheat codes. You know, they're available for you to use. They're readily available, like everything wants to produce them, kind of level available. But don't do them with respect. You know, like take some time in between, have the right intentions before you do them, and experience them in a way that's going to be beneficial for you and the other people around you, for example. Because as soon as you start to try and abuse these cheat codes, those cheat codes start abusing you. And like, as you're saying as well, having a preview of that state of consciousness being possible, I believe, at least in my opinion, should be an encouragement of trying to reach that level yourself. Galia Balafidi, that is Elvin for "Can I have a sandwich?" You can. Daffy Duckness. I don't know why, but I want to break small pieces off and throw it into the water for you. Daffy Duckness. I know bread is bad for ducks, but you did ask for a sandwich, so I'm gonna give myself a free one there. Nay, good to see you, my friend. Nothing lasts, but nothing is lost. There we go. Absolutely. It's been over a year since I've had coitus by the hill. Yeah, for me as well, basically. Is it something that bothers you? It's not really that big of a deal, right? Especially at this point. You kind of get over it. You're like, oh. I'm patient, I can wait. Psychedelics are the bolt cutters who cut the lock of a door we own the key to, but may not know yet. So, like this analogy, I'm like visualizing all of this, just like this bolt cutter. Like, I don't think of it as a bolt getting cut. I think maybe of it as a keyhole being brought closer to your face, and peeking through it. Because one of the weird things that you do realize in a psychedelic experience is that this experience is one of the ones that we're here for. Very specifically. It's like, oh, I get to have this experience that is so other. Damn, it's nice to have this experience. And you realize there's a choice in this as well. Again, that choice. And it's in that way that we allow ourselves some sort of satisfaction with just like average life, where a lot of people never actually get to that point. Everything is eventually lost. That it happens. Oh, Bonnie McMurray, hello to you, my friend. I'm just flowering with blow. Whoa, 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 whoa. Just flowing with blow of wind. Trying to connect with my inner self, Edmund. Having a few days off with a month full of festivals and cultures is a bit relaxing lately. Sending love. Thank you, Vincent. Sending so much love back your way. And thank you for sending love our way as well, friend. Yep. But we lose the key as we get sober. We're just left with the awareness that something else is present as well. Exactly that. Exactly that. And I feel that's the weird thing. Again, if you don't know, you don't know, you don't know. But you know that you did know something that you don't know. And then you know that you want to remember it, but you don't know how to know it. And you're like, oh, this key, what the fuck, here it is. And you try and explain it to someone and they think you're insane. And you try and rationalize it to yourself and you're like, that doesn't work. And you get yourself into loops. And then as you escape that space again, kind of the key stays with it. Because fundamentally the key is you. The key is you. And it's almost like you have different states of being as well. Like levels of awareness. And you can constantly, and we are constantly evolving consciousness and raising our states of awareness. But we're not there yet. We're still getting there. And then we get there and we're in a state of realization when we are there. And then we come back again. Great to hear you, my friend. Sending love back. Absolutely. We've seen the other side of the door. Now we know what there is and what's possible. Just bringing some positivity to the job stuff. There are many lucrative opportunities that I'm finding online. Definitely takes a little pressure off of me. Thank you so much for sharing with us, Dan. I'm hoping that it'll close as well, in New York. You just said a few weeks back that there would be opportunities in New York City, and you are correct. Makes me so happy to hear this, Dan. Mariah is here. Good morning, friends, and good evening, Mel. Hey, Mariah. It's so nice to have you. Thank you for joining us. Morning, Mariah. We have Luca saying, hey, what's up, dude? Dig your hair. What's your routine? As of late, I've been having a pretty lax routine, to be completely honest. I'm staying with a friend at the moment. I basically wake up around 6 a.m. I spend some time with Christian. Then I wash dishes. Well, first I cook myself breakfast. Then I wash dishes. Then I cook dinner for the night. Then I wash those dishes. I basically put them away. I spend some time meditating. I spend some time educating myself, however way I choose to. Then I get ready, I shower and everything, and then I sit down and I stream with you friends. And it's been an experience of like personal time, personal growth, and a proper opportunity to actually see myself in a light that is not forced. I think maybe that's the word. There's nothing is forced. Like I don't have to force myself to do things, and it feels amazing. How about yours, friend? If you'd be willing to share. If you are still here, that is as well. I meant hair. I wash my hair, and then I like comb the knots out of my hair, and then I let it dry. And then it looks like this. I do not get to choose. It grows this way out of my head. I'm sorry, friend. I'm sorry. Maybe if you do everything I did to the T, dude, like every single step of my day, your hair would start curling as well. Yes, Dad, you know your worth. You've been putting the hard work up to this point that I'm rooting for your comfort and happiness. And I think that's a beautiful place to leave it off for. Friends, I wish for you comfort and happiness, love and joy, abundance beyond your wildest dreams. Thank you for sharing the abundance of your time and your social love with me. I appreciate you, and I look forward to seeing you again tomorrow. Goodbye, everyone. Goodbye, my YouTube friend.